Welcome back, Rebels.
Welcome back. I'm going to bring up a difficult topic that no one ever wants to talk about. Money.
Yeah, that's always an interesting topic. And it is weird, but no one ever wants to talk about it because I feel like it's one of the most important things that makes the world go round. Yeah, everyone's really shy and secretive about it.
Yeah, no one wants to say what they earn. People lose friends over it, especially family members. Like that's one of the key button. And I think a lot of it comes down to this shame that has been developed around having open and honest discussions about money. And I think that a lot of that, I sound like a tinfoil hat wearing like conspiracy theorist, but honestly, I think that we are made to feel shy about talking about money so that we don't have these conversations, so that big business, because the last thing a boss wants is all the employees to discuss how they're making. I mean, not within our company because it's completely transparent and we can have those conversations if people want to. But I think a lot of places that aren't paying their staff fairly make it a shameful conversation so that the conversation doesn't take place.
Almost if you're earning a lot and you know someone else isn't earning as much, you don't want to say how much you earn because you don't want other people to feel bad.
Yeah.
And I think that happens a lot as well. And especially like creatives, people won't want to like say that they're earning money from the art because it's supposed to be this passion thing. And then there's a phrase of like selling out, which like obviously no one wants to sell out.
It's such bullshit though, isn't it? I mean, artists have been paid since the beginning of time. In fact, I think it was Da Vinci was like really, really wealthy. And it's only in the past sort of 30, 40, 50 years that it's become this weird thing to talk about money and being an artist. And in 1980s movies, if you want to portray a loser, then you always portray the artist as the guy that the dad never wants his daughter to date. I think one of the main issues that creatives face is because they enjoy doing the thing that they do, they then feel bad charging for it.
But I understand that. I feel like for myself, like, because I've always drawn, I've always been creative, like growing up, I feel like you are slowly doing things and it's like if someone offers to buy you something, like when you're a kid, I feel like if someone says I remember doing a commission for someone when I was like probably like year 7 at school or something, like really young. And I think I got like £50 for it. And I was like, oh my God, this is so much money. Like I'm getting paid to do something I like and I've got £50. This is amazing. And I feel like as you get older, you kind of don't lose that mentality of like, oh, well, it's for a friend. Like if I'm just going to do a painting for one of my mates, like I shouldn't really charge them for that. As your experience grows and you start to do things that could be for people you don't know, you still have that mentality of like, well, this is how much I should charge because this is how much I've been charging for this for the past however many years.
I'm sure that a lot of creatives, if they sat down with a calculator and actually put in the time that they've spent on whatever it is that they're creating and then worked out how much that would be if they were working a regular job, will probably find that they're earning less from their creativity than they are at like a minimum wage job stacking shelves somewhere.
Oh, completely. Like I can definitely relate to that. Like being that like young kid doing that thing for £50 probably took me like 15 hours or something. I was probably on like I probably could have got the same if I went and did like a paper round, like round mine, because like they never really paid too much. I think it is important as a creative to work out what you need to survive, because it's like if you're going to turn this into a career, you're going to need, there's things that need to be paid for, like your rent needs to be paid, you need to eat that month. If you've got a studio, that needs to be paid for, your art materials, and art materials are expensive. Actually, most creative materials are generally expensive, whether it's like cameras, kind of like paint, like things are just, it's a really expensive task. I remember like doing interior architecture at uni and they were like, okay, first week, go and buy all these things. And I was like, okay, cool. Got to the art shop and I was like, wow, this set of pens is like £50 for 5 pens. I was like, well, I'm not going to get those ones. I'm going to go and buy some cheaper ones that look like they'll do pretty much the same job.
Yeah, it's all of those expenses that you don't realize are expenses, and those all need to be calculated into the job. And what I always say to people as well is always have a contingency fund, which is a lesson that we've learned the hard way in business, is that if you don't have this kind of emergency money, which you can then, if you don't spend it, can become profit. But if you don't have it there and then all of a sudden, oh, I need to, like yesterday we had a job, we had to courier a hard drive with loads of footage on it from East London to Chelmsford. Had we not had our contingency money within there, that would just come out of our profits. And at the time on a bike, it was like over 100 quid. and you have to realize that those things are going to happen. Things that you haven't planned for are going to come up, and you've got to cover that. Otherwise, it's just going to come out of your profit, and then you're going to end up making zero on a job. What
happens a lot when people first get started in creative roles is the fact that they think that if they charge too much, then they just won't get the job. And I feel like people then revert back to, well, actually, I'm only going to work for £50 for this whole piece of artwork, because if not, I might not get it.
And so what that does is that hurts the industry that you're in, because everyone realizes, I can just go and get this for a much cheaper price. It devalues your work that you're doing. Yeah, and what that does is that hurts your industry, because it can lower the rates that people are paying for things. And I think you should either be working for full price or working for free. I don't think there should really be much of a middle ground.
I think that's really great advice, and I've never actually heard that before. I feel like that is such a great way to look at it. Like, work for the price that you actually need, and you work that out by working out, okay, well, what do I need to survive? So what do I need to do to cover rent, to cover my food, to cover all the materials, to cover everything that I need to have a bit of fun within that year? Because it's like, there are going to be expenses, and you need to treat it like it's an actual job. So to work that out, and then work out, well, how many pieces can I produce in a year? If I can create 40 pieces in a year, then, and I need, for example, for easy maths, 40 grand to survive, then I need to charge £1,000 for each one of my pieces. And that's going to sustain me and keep going forward. If you can charge more for that, then that's going to give you an actual buffer to help grow in the future.
I think the problem with what most people do is that they have kind of a scarcity mindset, and they feel like, if I charge cheaper, then I'll get more clients. And I think it's better that you spend your energy getting one client that's going to pay you £1,000 than 10 clients that are going to pay you £100, because the amount of time that it takes to get all of those 10 clients is going to be vastly more than the time it took to get the one client, and you're going to get exactly the same amount of money.
Yeah, and the one thing I think that we've really learned in business is the fact that on our staff, we've got loads of project managers, because that's what takes up a lot of the time. Like, if you're going to create a commission for someone, if you're going to create an artwork or work for someone in any kind of service-based role, there's going to be that time spent dealing with a client. So if you've got 50 clients you have to deal with every day, you're not going to have any time to do anything else. Whereas if you can find one client who can pay you 50 times the amount of those other people, then it's like there's so much less time on admin and more time doing what you should be doing, like doing that creative skill.
And whatever it is you do, there is someone who is charging 10x for what you do.
Yeah.
Whether it's a yoga teacher, there's someone who will only work with 10 clients a year. I guarantee there's a yoga teacher that will only work with 10 clients a year. Probably got Tom Cruise as a client.
Yeah.
And literally whatever it is you do, there's going to be someone who is at the top of that field. And that person is going to have so much less stress in their life and be able to enjoy things so much better, because they're not running around chasing the little scraps off the table. They are only working with big people who can afford them.
So something really important to do is to start working out, okay, well, if I do need this amount of money per item, who can afford that? And then start looking in areas where those people exist. If you don't know anyone in those areas yet, it's building those connections and getting yourself into those areas. Like, it might not come overnight. Well, it probably won't. It's going to take a bit of time, a bit of hard work, but positioning yourself in those environments where you can actually sell things for what you need to do to turn this into a career is so important. I think that's one thing that we've learned a lot.
I think another interesting lesson as well, and it's sort of a new discovery from us, and it's what this podcast is based on, is the value system of business. So we created this podcast that we give away for free every single week. We don't charge people for it. We give away all of our knowledge, but we charge brands to run fun partnerships with. And this episode is one of those partnerships.
This is one of those partnerships. So we've partnered with Adobe on the next 8 episodes to bring you some amazing content. They've helped us get some amazing guests. And we've also got a competition at the end of every episode over the next 8 weeks that will give you 3 years worth of Adobe subscriptions, which are worth a few £100, and also mentoring sessions with us. So if you want to win a full year's worth of Adobe Creative Cloud, definitely listen to the end, because they've got some great competitions coming up.
Yeah, I think for us, we've always said that when we do brand partnerships, they have to bring value to our audience.
Yeah.
And I think this is such an extreme version of that. We honestly do use Adobe products every single day for all of our businesses. But I think the main thing here is if you do get involved in these competitions, that is going to potentially put you on the radar of one of the biggest companies in the world. And I would love if some of these competition entries ended up getting some of our listeners some opportunities to work with one of the biggest brands in the world. So definitely check out the info on the competition coming up at the end of this episode, which is with the absolute legend, Jamal Edwards.
What a great guest to start this little mini series with. Like, really, really interesting. And it was great to sit down with Jamal, who we actually met like years ago, to have this conversation.
Yeah, he's such an interesting dude, and he has always had that this self-belief thing. I know he's written a book about it. He always talks about it.
Yeah.
But it reminds me so much of when we started. The little things that he used to do, like we got stickers printed out of our company and we put them on every single lamppost across London, all across the tubes. I remember when we used to have clients saying to us, didn't we? Like, I saw your logo on the escalator at whatever train station. And it was just those little things of trying to get noticed in the beginning. And Jamal did exactly the same thing. Like he used to go to the Apple store on his lunch break at work and change all of the screensavers to BSBTV. Yeah, it's like just proper hustling, like anything you can do to get attention on your brand. And I just relate to that.
So let's get into this episode.
Yes, Jamal Edwards is an entrepreneur, a videographer, and founder of the music platform SBTV. Jamal started making videos when he was just 15 years old, combining his newfound love of video making with his existing love of music, and he started just filming local artists. Jamal hustled hard, regularly making videos while working at Top Man to pay the bills. Under Jamal's vision, SBTV grew massively, and today the channel has over 1 million subscribers on YouTube and has helped launch the careers of several artists.
In this episode, we talk about money, self-belief, and surrounding yourself with the right people.
Because if you surround yourself with people that are like go-getters, like having that fear of failure, it's not going to affect you that much.
How's it going, man? How's your lockdown?
In my lockdown, I've sort of had ups and downs. I think for me, because my life is so busy, it's just a good time to just stop and reevaluate a lot of things, what I could do better, and just like literally completely stopping. I don't think I've had a chance in the past, I don't know how many ever years that I've been doing this for, where I've just stopped completely.
So you've taken a proper break then?
Yeah, really. Like work sort of became stagnant, but for me, I was able to think of new content ideas that I wanted to do, because that was a big part of moving so much, not being able to stop and reevaluate everything. So now I was able to like come up with content ideas, like reformat the team, like probably just get everything organized. So when we come out of lockdown, we can hit the ground running. Whereas before, I was trying to ground running with doing 101 different things. So it was good to be able to like stop and breathe for a little bit.
Yeah, I always find like taking that break is really important. I find it in myself, like if I go away for a week or two, I'm there and I just like, because you have that separation, you do allow yourself to have the time to think of new things, and then it gets you excited and really motivated for when you get back into it, because you're just like, I can't wait to go now.
Yeah, I think that's basically exactly how I feel. Because like some people on my team have been like, this is actually a blessing. Like you can actually just stop, like no one's doing anything. You can just like get back into it. So I've come up with quite a good few ideas. There have been some big projects that I'd been working on that had been put on hold. But other than that, I think I'm actually quite thankful for the lockdown.
Yeah, I think it's the same for us. And all of a sudden we're like put in this situation. Do you think like going forward, you might actually start to try and take a bit more of that time? Because obviously when you do have that time, you're going to be stronger afterwards because of the idea formation during that time.
Yeah, 100%. I think it would be nice to do, I've always told myself, like to go away out of the country, like go back to St. Vincent where I'm originally from. So if I could do a lockdown over there, that makes sense. It's a bit of a mad one when I'm doing a lockdown here, but then like I get the lockdown belly, like the lockdown boobs, like all that. Like without all of that, I think it would be quite good. And I think if anything, I'm gonna try and get into like a monthly arrangement where I lock down myself. So like I bought a few books in this period, and I started reading them. And I think I want to try and do like lockdown every month. That would be sick, because it sort of really sort of refocuses your mind. Like the world completely stops. And yeah, like for someone that is so busy every day, that I wake up in the morning, look at what I've got in the day and do the day. It's sort of a bit of a calming thing for me.
Yeah, I love that. But I think knowing you, what you're going to have to do is be really disciplined with yourself to say, like, no, I am in lockdown. Like, you can't access me during this time, because you know what will happen is as soon as we get back and you'll be like, I was going to do lockdown once a month, I'll do it next month, and then it just won't happen.
Yeah, I know. That's a very true point, but I'm going to try and see what happens.
What kind of time frame do you reckon you're going to give yourself? Like 2 days, 4 days, a week?
Like, I think being ambitious a week, but if I could do like at least a few days. And I think one of the big things is like diet, like what I'm eating, like try and cook. Because this Uber Eats and delivery, I must be one of the best customers in this current area at the moment. So like, I wanna really like write down a few things from what I've learned from the lockdown, which is like I've started cycling. I want to start skipping, cooking, eating books, and then remove yourself from social media. I found a lot of this lockdown I've engulfed myself in social media to some point where it's kind of unhealthy. So I want to try and write down like a few rules. And try and stick to it. I don't know if I will, but in my head, I want to at least try and do it.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because your whole life is social media. So like, how are you going to be able to separate kind of you time from work time? And because it's all kind of together, isn't it?
Yeah, and I find the way that I was thinking about it. I find the way that I could do that is literally I've got a group on my WhatsApp, which is like some of my close friends and colleagues. And I find they're so, like, they always update me with what's going on. So even if I did remove myself on social media, they can always get a hold of me. And I think that's important, of having like people that are in the world. But then also making sure that when it's their time to take a break, you do the same for them. So it's like a good sort of partnership.
Definitely. Have you got any book recommendations? Anything that hit you?
Shoe Dog. By Phil Knight, I think it is. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. And the 50 Cent book is another, which is Hustle Hard. I think it's called Hustle Hard. And I actually bought that as a physical book. The Shoe Dog is an ebook, and I like the hardback copy of the 50 Cent book. I don't know. I just like a physical copy.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the whole like CD and digital era. It's always nice to have like a nice, good visual book collection you can see. So I want to try and buy more books and read more often.
I think as well it's nice to just get away from screens and have that thing that is something to look at that isn't a piece of technology.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I feel like books like that would be really useful if they were part of the school curriculum, because I know like when you were young, you've said before, like you got distracted at school, and school really wasn't the place for you. Like you've become one of this country's like most successful, most well-known entrepreneurs, business people, what have you. But yet like school wasn't the thing that got you there. And do you think like if you'd had sort of more like tangible things where you could kind of see that journey a little bit easier, then you would have responded to school a bit better?
I think so, yeah. I think like it's just being able to relate. Like if Dizzy Rascal had a book or something, because that's what I was listening to when I was younger, it would have been good to see his trajectory. Or I don't know, I think like at school, enterprise weren't really a thing that the teachers used to push. So like even if it was like some of the favorite stores that I used to go to, I used to buy PlayStation games, and finding out about the founder, how they set that up, and then how they managed to scale up all the stores around.
Yeah,
like that could have been interesting. But enterprise again wasn't really. If I said, "Oh yeah, I want to be an entrepreneur," and I remember is that teachers would just laugh at you like and be like, "Yeah, create a business, yeah, right." And I've always said like I find now enterprise, thank God, it's more embraced. I did a show for BBC called Pocket Money Pitch, and we had kids like pitching their business plans and trajectories and profits made, and I was like, this is brilliant. Like I've had like 11-year-old kids coming to pitch to me as I was one of the gurus, and I just find like encouraging more kids to do that is fantastic.
I think as well from that, like it's good for kids to fail. I think parents put kids in such a bubble where they don't allow their kids to fail in any way, and they're told that they're always perfect, always right, every decision they ever make is like great. Whereas I think if kids started doing entrepreneurship younger, then they would learn that it's okay to fail, and they wouldn't be scared as soon as they get into the real world and things aren't as rosy as they thought they would be.
I think, I definitely agree with that. I think one of the big things that parents should do is like, say it's all right if you don't make it the first time, you could try again. Because I find like when I was younger, I was so scared of failure, but I always look at now like failure is a lesson learned. Like as long as you can learn from it and improve on it the next time, it's not a failure. So I find we should definitely instill, and I think it's definitely getting better since from when I was a little kid. Of you know what, like dust yourself off and try again. Like that song, dust your shoulders off and try again. It's like keep going. And I find that's quite important to build up the resilience with kids, young people, just in general.
And why did that change for you? Because I would now see you as someone who is massively confident, enough so that you could go in up to some massive celebrity and just say, look, hi, I want to connect. Can I get your number?
Yeah, I think that changed when I became a sort of a boss on my own terms, because it just that allowed the self-belief, like knowing like people still appreciate what I was doing gave me that self-belief. It's like you saying, oh, I'm one of the like UK's well-known entrepreneurs. That's just like, oh yeah, like I'm still doing stuff. Because sometimes it does, like you get so lost in your world, you just forget like what it is you're actually doing, which is good and bad at the same time. So I think like the switch for me was when people was appreciating it. I was getting like millions of views. Some of the artists I was getting, and people just used to be like, whoa, like you're doing like what you're doing is actually wicked, and you're changing artists, you're changing people's lives. And I think that was like gave me the willpower to carry on, I think.
What was the mindset when you were getting 0 views or like 10 views?
I was like, one day it must happen. I was just like, got to carry on. So when I first started, it was fun. Like I used to love going about everywhere, like going outside hotels, finding new artists. I was just a genuine fan of the music, and I still am. But it came a time where I was making loads of videos, I was filming, and it became more about the business than actually the filming and the passion of it, which I didn't necessarily get into it for all the other stuff. And that's where my passion started dwindling, because I was doing everything but filming. And like I bought a camera like a year ago, and I had it in a box for like a year. Like that just shows like I have the commitment to like invest back into doing filming, but I was so busy I actually didn't end up doing any filming at all. So in lockdown I took the time to actually set up the camera, because that's one of my passions. I want to get back into actually filming videos, because it was like I was doing everything but filming videos, and that was sort of a chore in a way. Yeah.
It's so funny. We see that so often. It's like you set up a business around your passion, and then you end up just doing the business and paying other people to do the bit that you love.
Mate,
and it's like it's hard to get out of.
That is like top. Like, and I feel like I'm procrastinating. I've not filmed a video for years consistently. That's ridiculous. Like I started SB for like, and the first like 5, 6, 7 years, or however many years, I was always on the camera. And yes, I did have a team. I employed people that I thought and they were way more skilled than me, because they was able to finesse that so much, whereas I had that and to take care of the business stuff, and to go and secure brand deals, and to go and do all my personal talks and all that sort of stuff. So it just became a lot, and now I really want to get back to basics, and the lockdown has sort of given me that passion to like pick up a camera again and just go out there and film. And like when I'm talking to artists, they're like, what, you're gonna actually be there? What, you're gonna be on the camera? I'm like, yeah, man. Like that's what I started SB doing. Like, why not?
So looking back then, do you reckon you would almost, if you could do it again, would you say I would keep the camera in my hand at all times?
100%. Like everyone knew me for having a camera in my hand, and I think, yeah, I let other sides of the business take control. So I would have definitely loved to have kept the camera. But you know what? I always had a GoPro, which was alright, but like the proper camera, and that's why now I really want to finesse like filming and even if it's the basic filming, like I think, do you know what? At the same time, I've taken a break, and it's made me hungry again. because I think I was filming all the time as well. So that's a factor of it. That's a factor that plays in it as well, of just finding my hunger and my passion again.
Yeah, I suppose there needs to be a balance with your passion, doesn't there? Because if you do it all the time just for work, then it stops becoming enjoyable. Like, you don't want to be doing that every day, because the reason you got into it was to do it whenever you wanted to for the fun. But then as soon as money gets involved, the fun can kind of get lost out of it a bit. And so it is a hard one, because they always say that you should never make your main passion your career. You should make your second best passion your career, because then you've always got something to have as that hobby. And I feel like, as a kind of creative myself, finding that second thing that I could do was really, really important. So I definitely recommend that if there is a creator out there, that they either, one, make sure that they don't lose sight of what it was they started doing for, and actually include that in their business and keep doing it because they enjoy it. Or two, find a second hobby that doesn't have to make you any money, that is just for fun.
Yeah, I agree. I never really looked at it like that, but that's definitely a good way of looking at it.
With filming again now, would you put it out under the SB label, or would it be, are you going to look to do something kind of new with it?
Yeah, definitely. I think I want to do things for the new decade now. So I want to rebrand everything, new ideas, high quality production, like all of that. Like, even when you have like this lights that you've sent and all this, it's all like, just like the quality, the levels have risen, innit? I'll do it still underneath SB, and I'm quite excited. Like what we talked about, I'm quite excited to like just get back at it and start filming again and find a new talent. I've got an abundance of new talent that I want to film that I haven't really seen on a lot of the platforms, and that's what excites me, and that's what people know me for, of like just discovering like new music. So yeah, taking it back to basics.
When you find a new artist, are you kind of more excited if they say like, oh, I'm making music in my bedroom, as opposed to like in a studio and they've got backing behind them and all of that sort of stuff?
Yeah, like we did quite an interesting project with Harmon, which we got producers, singers, songwriters, rappers to send in some of their stuff that they make in their bedroom, and then we award them £7,500 worth of studio equipment. And that was quite interesting. We got like thousands of entries from all these budding people creating music while there was lockdown. And I found that while there was on lockdown, and I found that quite inspiring project to do, because the music that some of these people were produced was amazing. And then being able to give them the equipment, it's like changed their life. They're just like, oh my God. Like, so yeah, I find having this lockdown period has been able to give people more creativity to make use of what they have around them, instead of thinking you need to be in a video studio, you need to be in a music recording studio to be able to produce something of quality content. And I was speaking to Joe Wicks yesterday, and I was saying like he's one of the people that in this lockdown period that has just come out just like, you smashed it, bro. You smashed it already. But he said to me he had like 700k subscribers and he went from 2.5 million. And he was like, that's mad, bro. And I was like, yeah, man, like fair play. Do you know what I'm saying? So like people have used this lockdown period and have excelled. But at the same time, some people haven't been able to, and it's sort of affected their mental health and stuff like that, which is important to realize and notice. And if you've got friends or creators or family that have been going through like some mad stuff, it's just good to check in with them. Like I had a FaceTime with a few of my friends that was feeling a little bit low, and just like having a face-to-face conversation with them, it just sort of like lifted their mood, lifted my mood. It was good, because not everyone has the means or the ability to be able to do stuff in this period.
So when you are looking at a new artist, I always say to people, your first 1,000 followers on social media are the hardest, because people kind of need to look, when they go to an account, they need to look at it and go, oh yeah, other people think this is good, so it must be good. And they kind of look for that outside validation. But what you do is you just judge people based on the talent. So like, are there specific things that you look for, or is it more just like a kind of feeling that you get from someone's stuff?
I think it's mainly, a lot of it's to do with the stories that people tell. Like when I talk to artists, I want to find out more about them. And I've done that with a lot of artists, like whether that's Dave, Rapman, Cadet, RIP. I've always said to them, like, tell me a little bit more about you. Tell me something that people don't know. And like storytelling for me is like something that I've always tried to push, because I find it's like I just want to go in my brain, like go on a visual journey. So like when I listen to people, I always get that feeling like hopefully I know what good music is. And yeah, like even if it's in another language, there's an artist that I was filming called Stromae, who's a sick French speaking Belgian artist, like unbelievable. And I put him on the channel, and even though it's in another language, I just feel what he's saying, and creatively, visually, everything is just on point.
So how do people get over that hump and start actually telling their story? Because I think that's one of the things that people are the most scared to do. But like obviously in your experience, you're seeing that the videos where people are telling their story and they're being more open and transparent, whether that's through their music or through an interview or whatever it is, like that's definitely the content that's performing better.
How do they like have that self-belief and start?
Yeah. Do you think it is, does it come down to self-belief of people, like, I don't know, fear of failure, or not thinking their story's interesting, or thinking that people are going to not be interested, or whatever it might be?
Yeah, I find people now are a lot more like they like to try things out a lot more. When I first started, I think there's always going to be that fear of failure inside people. That's like the excited, like nervous. Like if you were super confident, like I don't know, like it's just everyone has that fear of failure. Whether that's an artist jumping on stage, or a footballer going to play football, or I don't know, anything. So I find it's just about the mindset that you're in and the people that you surround yourself with. Because if you surround yourself with people that are like go-getters, like having that fear of failure, it's not going to affect you that much. And I find like it is really like your surroundings, like you're like a sponge, you soak everything up. So if you can make your surroundings as like positive as possible, then that's going to help you change your mindset into doing whatever it is that you want to do. And I found that, just talking from experience of my surroundings and the people that I was hanging around with, when I was always hanging around people that are like sort of maybe much more successful than me, it gave me that, do you know what, I could do that, I want to be like that one day. And yeah, I think that really helps me.
So how do you surround yourself with better people? Because obviously, like, if you want to be surrounded by loads of great entrepreneurs, how do you actually get into those circles? How do you make those connections?
I find now, like, LinkedIn is quite a good way to make those connections. Like, I've connected to so many people through there, and even people that are just starting out that message me, and they're like, can I come and like shadow you for a day? Or like, for example, there was this one kid called, there was a guy called Titus that used to come outside my office like every day, like just every day. And there were kids out there that are like that are just so like persistent. And yes, like after a period of time, we did invite him in, and like he wanted to help on some socials and whatnot, and I think he even helped us on some campaigns. But that was a kid that was just proper adamant that he was just like, I need to connect with Jamal, I need to connect with SB. So that's a way of doing it, stalking people, stalking offices, tidying up, because the persistence of that just gave me like, you know what, like come, like let's have a chat. But I find LinkedIn is a very good way of like connecting to either like-minded individuals or individuals that are further in their career than you. I find that quite important. So take an example, when I was connecting with Richard Branson, I did Virgin Media Pioneers. I pushed hard to get to like number one. I then went to his house and got his email, connected with his team. And then like for years now, I've had a good relationship with him. So you could look at that as an example of Titus coming to my office and looking at me, and then me like looking at Richard Branson. So it's like different, I don't know what you call this, the juxtaposition, like it's nuts.
So what typically would you ask Richard Branson for advice on?
I find when I asked him was just like, how do you scale up? I think what did he say? This was years ago. It was like, as long as you can stay true to your like core audience, don't like whatever you scale up on, don't forget your core audience. And because this was a time where I was filming a lot of grime, I was filming a lot of rap music, I was doing all that sort of stuff because that's what the platform was built on. But I wanted to sort of branch out. How could I branch Like, how can I scale up? So that's what filming singers, and I tried to do it in a way that it didn't alienate the original audience, because those are the ones that are my foundation. Those are the ones that like have helped me get to where I was at that certain point in time. So I tried to think, how can I scale up without alienating the audience? And I think he was talking about like making sure that if you do scale up, just stay true to your core. Like, what is it? What made you want to start SB? And at the end of the day, it was like discovering new talent. So yeah, even though I'm discovering new talent as MCs and rappers, I could do the same for singers, beatboxers, football stars, artists. It's just like the world's my oyster, basically.
Yeah, I like tracking things back. I really think that was like one of the things that's key to your success. So it's like we've had two previous staff members of yours on our podcast, Lily Mercer and Georgia.
Oh, is it?
And so
I didn't listen to those episodes.
Yeah, man. So we know about the early.
I think I heard. Wait, did I hear George's one? I think I saw. I never knew Lily went on it. Wow, doing the rounds.
Yeah. So we know a lot about the early days of SB and the fucking shambles that it was in the beginning.
Oh, love me. Yeah.
Look, man, you were young. You're managing people for the first time in your life. It must have been a tricky situation.
Daunting, man. Like, it was daunting, and like, regardless if it was a shambles, it gave most of the people that work for me careers in what they're doing now. So like, I say that I was very young. Like, I was the youngest in my team. At some time I was very daunted at telling people what to do. Like, everyone was older than me, and I felt like I've always been taught by my parents to treat my elders with respect. So like, even if there was stuff that didn't go right on shoots, I would bottle it up, and I'd be like, I can't, like, they're older than me, do you know what I'm saying? Like, but at the end of the day, it was a learning curve, like, and I never had anything to look towards doing. But I'm very grateful to say that George has now gone on to do like loads of presenter stuff. Lily now has her own magazine. Like, there's like loads of other people. Everyone that's come to work with me has, if anything, they've used SB as a stepping stone. I've given them the chance, and they've gone on to do great things. So for that, I'm very grateful for. And I think, like, I'm 29 now. Like, I started when I was like 14, 15. So I learned a lot. I've learned a lot in the time that I've been doing this, I guess. And I find like I'm quite deep in the game. It's like halfway into the career. I think like the next 10 years, the next decade, I'll be able to even do even more stuff. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, I was just being a dick by saying shambles, but obviously, like, that's your core, is always like discovering new artists. Like, me and Adam given a few talks before lockdown, and one of the things we were talking about was like your career being like a tree. So in the beginning is the roots, where you're trying lots of different stuff to see what works. Then the trunk of the tree is like, that's your career, and that's what you double down and you focus on. But then once you've done that for like normally 3 to 5 years, then you can like start branching out after that, and you can start trying new and different stuff. And it seems like that's what you did. You had your kind of core there, but then you were like, okay, the way to grow this is like always stay true to that core, but like just start reaching out in different places and trying new things. Because I mean, like the hire of Georgia is like, that was kind of an interesting move, because it's not the typical person that you would see talking about grime videos at that point. Yeah. Even though she knew loads about the scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find that I always gave people the benefit of the doubt, and I always just like to do stuff against the grain of what a normal. I always was taught that like, not just to give people opportunities because I think that's right, like, try things out a little bit different. And yeah, like, if all the hires that I've done, like, I've never really been about like grades or what your results are. I just wanted to know if you was passionate or not. If you're passionate, I want to give you a chance. I'll give you a go. And that came with good things, and it came with bad things. It gave me good things because I always gave people a chance, but it came with bad things where people necessarily it was sort of their first job in that field, and maybe might have not been experienced. So, but I always looked at it as a learning curve, as it's symbiotic, we're growing together, we're learning together. Whether that's the people I employ behind the scenes and the people that I put on the camera, I always try and make sure that it's like a healthy balance, definitely.
So where did the decision come from for you to step forward and like kind of be the face of the brand? Because you weren't a singer, you weren't rapping, but you really stepped forward, and at that time we didn't really see that.
I think the change of me actually becoming like forefront of the brand was, obviously I've seen like loads of big brands and their founders, and I think the Google Chrome advert was the time where I was like, okay, I'm gonna step in front of the camera now, and that was like I think the biggest advert that Google had done, or one of the biggest adverts that year, because it came out on like the X Factor ad break, the first X Factor ad break. I know I was just like I was sweating, like nervous when it came out, and then that is where I was able to then build Jamal Edwards as a brand, and then that's a gift and a curse because it made me so busy where I wasn't able to focus on a brand, but then also it opened up new opportunities for me to build my personal brand, where it was like SB and Jamal was like fighting each other, like which one's that, like, oh, is this for SB or is this for Jamal? And it came with its good and bad, like everything, it came with its good and bad. But yeah, that was the time where I was able to like then put myself in front of the camera and start doing all these magazine interviews, like TV shows, all that sort of stuff. But it did help the brand. It helped like put it in front at that time. Yeah.
Are you kind of selective about what you choose to do now in terms of that? Because I'm sure you probably get asked to do stuff all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's just got to be. It's got to be. I don't want to. Less is more. Like I don't want to just do anything and everything. And there's no harm in like delaying things if it's not right for you at that period of time. So yeah, like I try and just be very. I've always been very like careful with what I pick to do because simple time is money. So it's like whatever you're not spending doing your passion or planning or doing whatever, that could go into something else. So I always try and manage my time a lot more. I do it a lot more better now because I've got a much more structured team around me now compared to years ago. But yeah, it's good. Pick wisely.
So as someone starting a business now, would you recommend that as a founder it's worth coming out and being that kind of key person of influence within your business?
Yes and no. The reason I say yes is because it will help and it can help you build up your business, but no is because it attracts away from your business. Like, and that's the things that you have to balance. Like me doing a talk somewhere, it would go against me doing a video shoot. And those are the things that I have to balance on a regular basis, like of Jamal Edwards and the SBTV founder. But I find it much more easier to balance now because I've got a good team, whereas I can go and do the talk or whatever it is I need to do, and a good team is handling the music video shoot to make sure that it's getting delivered correctly. And I find that's been a big part of having a good team.
And for someone who doesn't have a team around them, what have you learned that you could kind of say to someone who's getting started maybe?
Literally look around you to who, like even your immediate family, if they can help. Like my mum was an accounts payable manager. She could help me on my books, but I didn't think that. I didn't think that until you just never know who's in your family basically. And that could have been a really important thing to help me sort my finances out back in the day and get that all organised. But I was always like, I'm not going to ask my mum. Like, why am I going to ask my mum to get involved? I really think people should look at your immediate people around you to see if they can help, and don't be afraid to ask for help. I find that I was very like, I can't ask anyone for help. They're not going to understand what it is they can do. But that was a mistake. So yeah, if you're by yourself, you should look at your immediate team about how you can help, and also write down the things that you don't like doing and try and find people that do like doing them, and always be open, because even Liam, who was my sort of first person that got involved, he was doing a thesis on grime at Sheffield Uni, and I remember he came all the way down to meet me, and he was like, "You haven't got a site. I'll start writing for you if you want. Like, if you help me on my thesis and get interviews with artists and interview with yourself." And that was a good deal. Like, I was able to help him with that, and he was able to write articles on my site. And that's the sort of partnership like you have to barter with, because you're not gonna have money in the beginning. Like, you might not have money in the beginning, you might have money in the beginning. You just got to think, like, what are your services that you can do to help someone else, and then try and get something back for them if there is no money involved and you have no team around you. I found that was a good way, and I used that to my advantage a lot in the early days.
You've watched so many artists that have kind of basically started from the bottom, who've then, like, a lot of times with your help, gone on to like achieve really, really great things. And I'm sure as well, you've probably seen artists that haven't grabbed it, they haven't jumped on it, and they've not been successful. Like, what are some of the kind of main traits of the ones who go on and are really successful?
I think some of the main traits is just like literally eating, breathing, and sleeping music, like not turning off, sort of not being also not also being small-minded. Because at the same time, an artist might be like, I want to leave my job that I was doing, but it might be very short-sighted to leave because then they have no finance to be able to go into their music. It's just about finding and managing your time correctly. I find a lot of people that sort of gone on to be successful and manage their time correctly as well, and not being a yes man, a yes lady, a yes man, and doing everything. I find that is quite an important factor into how an artist develops into a superstar. Yeah, I find that when I look at artists, I think that's a big factor of it. But also having a good team is important as well.
Yeah, you mentioned like eat, breathe, and sleep the music. I think what's interesting is then we look at your career and you eat, breathe, and sleep the music as well, but you're not necessarily making the music. So whatever your thing is, like if maybe you can't make it as a singer, but there might be another way for you to be completely involved in that world by doing something else.
Yeah, I find that's the same with a lot of stuff. Like you have football, like obviously as a footballer, but then there's the water boy, the referee, the medic. There's so many different roles in football. It's the same with music. It's the same with acting. Like it's the same with pretty much everything. And it's just about researching what is your passion and having a look and trying new things out. Because when you're younger, you never know what it's going to be like. Like I remember I wanted to be an artist. I wanted to be a rapper. I loved wildlife. Like there was so much stuff I was into, and it's just about finding the right thing that suits you, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really good point, because so many people absolutely love music but have no physical music ability. Like they can't play an instrument, they can't sing, they can't rap, they can't do those things. But there are still so many ways you can get into the music industry that don't involve those things.
Yeah, and I find like education is definitely the key in this, of like educating yourself to find out what is actually out there.
And in what way do you educate yourself?
I watch a lot of content on YouTube. I watch a lot of like interviews. Like I don't even read as much as I should. In this period, I've been trying to read obviously a lot more, but I watch a lot of content. And I get inspired by other people's success. So when I see Dave do something amazing, or Rapman do something amazing, or Ed Sheeran do something amazing, I'm like, sick, I want to do something amazing now. So I buzz off other people's success, and that gives me the sort of the self-belief to just carry on and keep on going, because these are my peers. Like I essentially grew up with them within the music industry. And yeah.
That's so beautiful, because most people's view is like they look at that and they get jealous of it, or it holds them back, or they think that I'd never be able to achieve that. But you use it to drive you forward.
Yeah, I definitely. That's the way. If people aren't like that, I don't know, man. That's just mad. If you're not like that, like how can that not like inspire you? Like I see sick videos online. I follow like Black Magic Pocket Cinema on Instagram, and I just see like other cinematographers and DOPs creating sick videos, and I'm like, wow, that looks sick, I want to do that. Like, and I'll go and learn about it. Yeah, it's good.
It's just about being open, isn't it? Because you never know where you're going to get inspiration from. And I think like a lot of people live in very sort of closed, they consume one kind of content, but like obviously you'll look in multiple different places because you never know where you're going to inspiration.
Yeah, like you saying fucking shambles, I'll show you. Little comments like that just keep
Does that drive you on?
Yeah, mate. I'm just like, what do you mean? That's years ago. I was younger then. Like, it just made me just, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, okay, cool. I just take that. I'll take that.
I'm saying it with love, baby.
I'll transform that into positive vibes. Like for example, some people might have taken like, what? Like, do you know what I'm saying? But I take that and just be like, do you know what? We move. Like, I just gotta. I'm always on an ever growing path, and the thing about me is I will acknowledge that in the past things weren't necessarily as great as they were, but like I'm always on the path of like evolving myself and growing myself, and I find that that's always been like when I was a little bit younger, I was very like I was stuck in a world. I was very like, it's this way or not, or I'm very like ignorant sometimes because I didn't know any better. But now, like, as I've grown up and I've like matured as a man, it's like much more refreshing to like take constructive criticism and take it on board and carry on moving forward.
If you could go back and talk to that younger self now, what would you say to him?
I'd say I'd like have much more structure. Like, don't be such an erratic, like mad. Like, it was just such a crazy world for me. I was traveling the world. Like, I've done a lot of stuff. Like, I feel like I've like in my 13 years or whatever, I've done a lot of stuff before I'm even 30. Like, and I find out when I'm 30, I'm gonna start again, like a new decade, and try and break some new boundaries. But like when I look back at it, or at what the journey I've been on, it was very like winging it a little bit because I had nothing to look at. So whether it's the videos, whether it's the traveling, whether it's the ideas, whether it's the people I employ or whatever, it was just very like going with my gut instinct. Whereas now the internet is older, there's much more things out there to do. There's like, and I find now I've got a very good team around me, a very good structure. I'm able to aim and be like, I'm going to do that now. Whereas before, when I first started, I would have said I got an MBE at like 24. I would have been like, yeah, right. But now, like when I'm 30, I'll look at for the next 10 years and I'll aim really high. And even if I get knocked back down or I don't make it, at least I've aimed high. Because when I was younger, I never used to aim high. I just used to do it and just go with the flow sort of thing.
Do you have like a North Star, like something you're always aiming for?
I really want to like, I'm from St. Vincent and I really want to like buy some land there, start building studios, maybe build some schools, like invest there. Like I recently set up Delve, which is like a charity to help young people of Ealing, and we reopened 4 youth centres. So like I want to do more stuff around that and start building that out and just give more opportunities for people. Just keep on trying to give opportunities in whatever walks of life it is that you are. Like I saw yesterday that a girl on Twitter was doing a fundraising for a series around some black students based up in Midlands that are going to university, and you don't really see that sort of story being told within like black culture, and I found that quite interesting. And obviously I knew June Sarpong, who's like the creative diversity, she's heads up creative diversity at BBC, and they've just announced £100 million fund. And I said to the girl, I know June, I can connect that. I don't want anything, but like I think that you should have a chat. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just little things like that. Even though I might not necessarily benefit from it, I don't need to benefit from it. It's just about connecting worlds. And I want to do a lot more of that because the worlds that I've been in and the people that I've met over the years, it's been like just, I'm very thankful and grateful that I've been able to do that. But now I want to try and feed that back to my audience, people that I don't even know. Like, I'm on that. Spread the wealth. There's enough for us out here. Spread the love.
100%. That's amazing. I think we've got quite a few mutual friends, and like whenever you come up in conversation, that's one thing that people always say is that you're a connector. Mm-hmm. You're always bringing people together. And I know what you said is completely true of like you don't want anything from it, but it is also a big to just connect those things. Like probably nothing will come from it for you, but people will always remember that you made that connection, and then later on down the line they're going to connect you with someone, and it's all good karma, and it all works.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I agree. Because some people that when I've connected people and then they've cut a deal and then I've told someone and they're like, "What, you didn't get anything like that?" I was like, "Bro, like it's calm, man. Don't worry, my time will come, man." Like, and I'm very at peace and content with how I live in it. So I'm not like yearning off it, but people be like, "Yeah, but you could be more rich or you could be more this," and I'm just like, I'm fine. Like, let me just like that's a very like I don't meditate. That's a very like peaceful way of thinking, because otherwise I'll be trying to grab everything, percentages of everything, and some people are like that and they may be more successful than me or whatever, but I'm fine at going at my rate at what I'm going at, because otherwise I'll get swallowed up if I was motivated by that. And maybe if it's not me, then I'll have someone in my team that's their job to just like make sure there's fair deals. Like even when I'm working with artists, I want fair deals. I don't want like the standard deals. Like people send me standard deals. I was like, no, I want it in favor of the artist. I don't want the artist 10 years later or 5 years later to look at the deal and be like, Jamal bumped me. I ain't on that. Like I don't want that rep. I'd rather just not do it at all. And that's just learning. Because I used to have loads of people around me that used to just tell me loads of stuff, and I never used to actually make my own decisions. Whereas now I'm like quite, whatever I say sort of goes, but I always like to take other people's opinions as well.
Yeah, it's the same with us. Like we'll listen to all of the opinions, but at the end of the day, like we have the decision making power.
Yeah, that's important.
You said whenever you're interviewing artists, you always say to them, what's something that no one knows about you? So Jamal, what's something that no one knows about you?
I'm going to have my own allotment.
Oh, sick.
I was proper random, innit? I don't know why, but I want to grow like my own, like...
That's not what I expected.
Yeah, like David Attenborough to the wildlife. What OG. Yeah, no, I've been looking into creating my own allotment, which is proper random. And like one of my friends has one, and I've been speaking to a few other people that have them as well. And like they've been going there in this lockdown period, and I saw like they've been growing like patroy, what they grow, like strawberries, bananas, apples. I was like, you know what? I want my own allotment. There's a long waiting list. You wouldn't believe it to get an allotment, but
yeah.
I want to like create my own allotment, and like that'd be sick, man. Grow my own produce and that. Random, but I think it'd be fun.
I feel like it'd be interesting to see if you create content around that allotment, what kind of stuff you would do. Because again, it's like taking two things that are completely different, putting them together, and just to see what comes out of it.
Yeah, because I did some content with Chris Packham, and I made like a bug house, which I put over there, which like there's loads of sticks and stuff for like bugs that are out there, which I find interesting. I've always had a passion for wildlife. But yeah, like I don't know how I'd film the content, but it could be an interesting thing.
So how do you keep your content engaging? Because obviously when you started, no one else was really doing this sort of stuff, but now it's kind of a crowded space. If someone's a content creator now, how are they going to keep their stuff fresh?
So 6 of these rules that I always say or 5 or 6 rules, and try and tick 2 is the content be entertaining, either entertaining, funny, scary, nostalgic, not covered by mainstream media. But like I always say, those like factors, when you're making content, try and tick at least 2 of those factors. I always find nostalgic content just like gets so much shares, like when it proper gets in people's feelings, like whether that's Pokemon or like I remember I saw some Pokemon meme and it just had like tens of thousands of retweets. I was like, what the hell? Because people, it really pulls at your emotions. And for me, when I first started, it was not being covered by mainstream media. So a lot of the content I was making wasn't being covered by mainstream media, and it was entertaining. So I found that really helped me. That really helped me figure out what it is that I wanted to do. So yeah, people that are making content now, try and look at those factors and try and work that into your content. And if it hasn't been done before, think like that's the reason why you should do it even more. Because I remember talking to some people, they'll look at stuff, it hasn't been done though, so what? That's your unique selling point, that's your gap, go in the market, boom, do it. And they're like, true. And the other thing is try and look at problem solving. Like look at your problem and try and solve it. So my problem was I couldn't find the videos that I wanted to watch online. I had them on DVDs, but I didn't have it, and it was so simple. But then consistency helped me. Once I was able to upload videos, the consistency allowed me to push forward even more. And I looked at an example of someone made an app where you jump off the tube, you jump straight off at the exit, and it tells you what cabs to jump on. I think like it got like millions of downloads because that was obviously thousands of other people's problems of when you're jumping off the tube at a busy thing, you don't want to walk through the whole platform. So it's like, again, like, try and solve problems, and you're hopefully solving a whole bunch of other people's problems, which will then help you.
So back to what you said there about if you can find something that no one's done before, like just go for it. How do you do that if there's not already a market for it? Like how do you get people to know that this is a new thing and that you should listen to it?
I don't know what I find, like it's just a natural gravitas, like because when I first started, people they just got in touch with me because they just saw it and they like thought it was exciting, and that sort of helped me. There wasn't like a specific thing. It was just, I think it was just so new, and the people that I was filming, I don't know, that's a
I suppose when they see it, it will feel right.
Yeah, like for them, do you know what I'm saying? I never force anyone to.
Yeah.
But I've always been open. That's the thing. I never force anyone, but I've always been open because, like, especially when you're growing, it's like you're already dealing with whatever stresses you're going through of making your business a success. But when you're bringing someone else on, they have to be willing to take on that stress as well. You don't want to force that person into that stress, but if they're willing to jump on a journey with you, then cool, you recognize that and you move forward. But you never will be like, come, let's go, because at the end of the day, if you're not patterned up properly, you're just bringing your stress onto them. And I don't necessarily want to do that. And that's not the case now, but I'm just thinking about people that when they're starting their businesses, like of what they might be going through or what they have to actually question themselves before they get other people involved. And then it's also, once you're employing people, making sure like you're providing for them now. Like you've got to always make sure you're updating yourself to make sure that they're able to provide food on their table for their families. And it's like just building up, and you've just got to be open, like for change, open for honest discussion, and then hopefully you'll have a good working relationship with whoever it is that you end up employing or working with.
So last question then. I know you wrote a whole book on it, but how do people unlock their self-belief?
Like the thing that I find when talking to people about self-belief is like some people will be like, I haven't found it yet. How do I get it? And I think the big question in that is like, it's never too late to find your self-belief. Obviously, I found my self-belief when I was 14, 15. Whereas some people might be like, but you were so young when you was doing that. I'm like 30, I still haven't found myself. But this is the question that people ask me. I'm like, it doesn't matter. You carry on doing what you're doing and it will come to you. Because I find even if you don't know, 70, 80, whatever, and you find it then, like it doesn't matter. At least you found it. And don't be closed, because people close themselves off when they hit a certain age. They're like, all right, I'm like 30 now, I'm 40, there's nothing I could do, I'm never going to be able to be an entrepreneur, I'm never going to have that self-belief. That's the wrong mindset straight away. You've just got to like be open. Again, just be open for change. Even if you've had an illustrious career in a certain field for like 20 years and you're able to leave it and set up your own thing, like be open to that. Like don't think when you get past a certain age that you're not able to go and do something that is a bit more like of a risk taking, like setting up your own business. And the same thing if you're younger, don't think you're never too young enough to start your business. It's both sides of the spectrum, because then you'll get people that are like, I'm not old enough to start my business. Again, that's the wrong mindset to have. Don't matter, you can start your business whenever, what age, like what age, like. And I find that's the self-belief. There is no age limit with self-belief. It can come whenever.
It's almost like just don't compare yourself to other people. Like it doesn't matter what other people are doing. Just think about yourself and whatever situations you're in, and like look at what opportunities are open to you. Don't think, oh well, that person got that opportunity, I'm never going to get that. Like just find your own path, because you will find it if you just keep going for it.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Chase your dreams like the competition, 100%.
Boom.
Amazing. So much gold in here, man. Thank you so much. Where can people find you online?
Jamal Edwards across most platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, I think. I think Facebook is Jamal Edwards. I don't know what the actual URL is, but...
Or just down at the allotment.
Yeah, down at the allotment, coming soon.
Amazing.
Hey guys, before you go, we've got a little competition for you. Every week as part of this Adobe partnership, we're giving away a free mentoring session with us, the Creative Rebels, and a year subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud. And for the 4 runners-up each week, we're also giving away another 3 years worth of Adobe Creative Cloud. Inspired by this week's guest, Jamal Edwards, we want you to experience filmmaking on the go, much like Jamal, using Premiere Rush. Whether it's music, sport, or whatever you're into, we want you to create a short 30-second video using Premiere Rush about your passion, whatever that could be. If you've never used Premiere Rush before, there's some great tutorials on Adobe's website, so go and check them out. And if you don't have Creative Cloud already, you can go to creativerebels.co/Adobe for a free trial. The winners will be selected by myself and David in 2 weeks from the day this launches. To enter, use the hashtag AdobeXCreativeRebels, and remember, always be creating. See ya!